Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. Today is October 23rd, 2020. Those of you who follow the show on Facebook are confused right now because this morning it was supposed to be about the ultimate immunity stack, and we will do that show next month. Today we're going to revisit magnesium because we know that a lot of people are deficient in magnesium. And there's a lot of confusion about magnesium because there's lots of forms and they all seem to do different things. So we're going to get into that today. Then later in the show, I've discovered the single best way to tell if you're overtrained. And I think that those of you who have been overtrained, I flirt with overtraining constantly because I'm a jerk. I overtrain constantly. I've discovered something that nobody's talking about when we talk about overtraining that may actually be more important to follow. And I'll explain why, but that'll be later in the show. Of course, we have to thank our title sponsor, eatlegendary.com, Legendary Foods, SHR10, 10% off. They have a new tasty pastry, and it's Hot Fudge Sundae tasty pastry. It actually has more than 9 grams. I think it has 12 or 15 grams of high leucine, high protein, high quality protein, less than 1 gram of sugar. Tastes, looks, smells like a Pop-Tart, but it's healthy. Buy them for your kids. They won't know that they're healthy. Go to eatlegendary.com. Use the code SHR10 to get 10% off. And now, without further delay, one of the guys I love having on the show because he's so sincerely interested in people's well-being, and that is Wade Lightheart from Bioptimizers. How you doing, Wade?
Carl, great to be here as always. I always look forward to coming on the Superhuman Show. And now I'm sitting here going, God, I want to know this training secret because I, like you, I love to train. And I recently took a little bit extra time off. And all of a sudden, like I kind of blew up and I'm like, geez, I think I'm overtraining again. I guess it's hard to adjust your mind when you were a hard performing guy, like in your 20s. And you're like, okay, I'm almost 50, but my mind thinks like a 20-year-old. I think I can do what a 20-year-old can do.
Yeah, I'm that guy. In fact, I listen to music like Linkin Park when I train. So I'm stuck in that 16-year-old. I'm really angry deep down inside. Not this 62-year-old rotting body. But I think that's an interesting point that you make. Guys like you and I, we don't pay attention to overtraining because we believe that if we write that prescription that we have to train legs today. We have to train legs today, and I fondly have always said the only bad workout is a missed workout, but I'm starting to rethink that. I've discovered a new way to train. I'm actually going to launch my own training style. I've got about 60 personal trainers helping me.
Wow!
But the problem with it is it really pushes the central nervous system very quickly, and so I've tried it 3 days on, 1 day off. I've tried 2 days on, 1 day off. I tried 2 days, 2 days off, 2 days on, 2 days off. And now I'm trying 1 day on, 2 days off. And I've discovered something. And I'll talk about it later in the show. If you want to stay with me, if you don't have anywhere to go, just stay with me through the end of the show. It's entirely up to you. You're welcome to stay because I would love to hear your feedback as well. So if you have the time, let's do that. But we're here to talk about something very important today. People underestimate the value of magnesium. It's been shown to reverse type 2 diabetes in certain people. But the problem with magnesium is there's so many different forms, and they each do something different, and people are confused. Talk about magnesium for a second.
Well, it actually correlates to actually what you were talking about today because, a few years back, and just to kind of go with, some of our dysfunctional psychologies is like type A high performer guys that think that you can just live the same way we did when we were 20. And a couple of years ago, I was in a serial entrepreneur mode. I opened up a new business. I got into a big situation with a partner that, you know how you get in those situations and you're like, well, you know what? I'm going to grind my way out of it. And I worked for literally 2 years straight, 12 to 15 hour days, never took a day off, trying to get myself out of a situation. It was a disaster for my health. I relied on stimulants too much. I got myself to a point where I was like, oh my God, I'm living in hell. I was my own worst enemy. And I know all the things I'm supposed to do. That's the part, right? It's just like, you know what? I'm superhuman like you. I don't need to pay attention. At red lights, we just blow through them. That just means go faster, right? You know, like whatever.
Right.
And I got myself into trouble, and I did some testing, and with my naturopathic doctor, and he's like, dude, your cortisol levels are through the roof. Your testosterone levels are dropping. Your estrogen levels are way too high, and you are going to be like your magnesium levels are just bottomed right out. And I did the SpectraCell test, which I think is a great test for people to really not just look at your blood levels, but also to look how much your cells are absorbing. Because as you know, absorption of whatever you're taking is every bit as important as how much you're taking or the type that you're taking. Can you absorb it, right? So long story short, but what triggered in my mind at that time, because I was blown out, is I was at a conference with none other than the strength sensei. And yes. And in that moment of kind of like hell, little memory came back from a few years before. I'd attended the Bulletproof conference, and he did an amazing lecture, and he was in one of the breakout stages. And I don't know why he wasn't on the main stage, because he probably laid out more gold nuggets in that hour than any single person I'd ever listened to at an event. And one of the things that he said that stuck with me is that with his high performing athletes, and this guy trained gold medalists in 27 different sports, the who's who of professional athleticism and everything. He said he was using different types of magnesiums to offset the stress that was put on their nervous system from this high performance training that they were undergoing. And he went into detail and started explaining there were some magnesiums for the nervous system, some for the heart, some for the brain. And he made some really interesting chemical connections. We talked about it on one of your other podcasts, and that is Chinese medicine and the different herbs related to neurochemistry and Western physiology. So the whole 5 elements in Chinese medicine, he actually correlated with neurochemistry. Now, if you understand neurochemistry, because one of the big things about training, particularly as you get older, is your muscles might have recovered. The actual muscle tissue might recover. But what doesn't recover is your nervous system. Your nervous system hasn't recovered, and all the growth, all the power, all the energy comes out of your nervous system. And a lot of it you're not able to clear out the toxins out of your brain and upregulate your neurotransmitters, right? That's why fighters, as they get older, they start to slow down because they can't snap that shot as well. They don't have the neural connective fight. The pathways are there, the movements are there, the motor skills are there. They don't have the neurochemistry to do it. And I was like, oh my God, that's me. And I got into this magnesium thing, and so I talked to everybody and anybody about magnesium, which ones they were doing, and I got confused because everybody was saying this magnesium, that magnesium, this thing. So I said, well, there's only one way to do this. And you know, Matt, my business partner, he's a spreadsheet guy. So we just ordered every magnesium we could get possible. Right. And we just had, I still remember, this is like, I just got bottles all across my counter at like thousands of dollars of magnesium. Right. And we just started categorizing them using the principles of orthomolecular nutrition. In orthomolecular nutrition, this was developed by Dr. Abram Hoffer, Dr. Linus Pauling, and Dr. David Hawkins. And what they would do is take super physiological dosages to alter disease pathways or eliminate disease. And I was in clinical neurological depression and adrenal fatigue. I was just toast. So I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? So I would take each magnesium and I would start dosing up until I got the runs. So I'd start with magnesium chelate, then I'd start with citrate, and then I would start with, bisglycinate, and on down the list to see what was my tolerance level for each one, because they were different. And then we categorized what I felt. Now, I felt better on virtually all of them. And there was a significant variance of when I would get the runs. And so when you get the runs, basically what that means is your body can't absorb any more of that mineral.
Right. And it's
vitamin.
Actually causing something called osmotic diarrhea. It's not being absorbed, so it stays in the digestive tract and it attracts fluid to it.
Correct.
Right.
And sometimes you want that. So for example, if you're in constipation, if you're having trouble with constipation, like magnesium citrate is really good for that, but too much magnesium citrate and you'll cause dehydration. You can run into a bunch of problems. So anyways, long story short, we started working on all these different magnesiums, then it got down to, I was basically doing calculus every day to figure out, okay, I need 1 cap of this one. I need 2 caps of this one. I'm going to take a cap of this one at 11 and one of this. So it got very, very complicated.
Right.
And finally we said, okay, well, what if we actually put all the best magnesiums in one single capsule? Like, wouldn't that be a good idea? Wouldn't it eliminate a problem? Well, and I was like, well, why didn't anybody do this?
Yeah, it's got to be a reason, right? Yeah.
Well, there was. It turns out there was, because what people don't understand about like magnesium, when it says like magnesium aspartate or magnesium chelate or whatever it happens to be, the second part is the bonding agent that goes with that magnesium. And that's what delivers it to a different organ or a different part of the body. Now, here's the fun part, though. It's a different size in molecules. So what happens, the reason why people didn't put them all, because what happens is they didn't have a machine that could when you start putting all these different magnesiums, it clogs the machine up and that stuff won't go into the capsules properly, won't mix up properly. And then what a lot of companies will do to get around these things, and you see all these kind of chemical agents they put, and they're called excipients, which are flow regulators.
Right.
That's why you see magnesium stearate or
calcium agents. Right. They keep things together. Think about that. That's their only purpose, and it's more for production than the value of the human body.
Correct. And that's why when you see products with all those weirdness on it, you know that they're not going the extra mile on product quality, and they're giving you a lot of stuff that you don't want in your body, which may have problems. So long story short, we went through we tried all these different machines. We finally got the machines to work. Then it blew the capsules open because it couldn't hold the capsule strength wasn't enough because of the variance in it. We had to get special capsules made. Long story short, we figured this out and we said, great, we've got a magnesium that will deal with what we want. So we might as well sell it, right? That's really how we got into it. We have an itch and you scratch it and you go, so we decided, let's turn it out there. We were unprepared what happened. We were unprepared for people who knew our company and knew our brand, and guys such as yourself and many other influencers said, hey, yeah, we tried it. We really like it. We really feel good. Well, then it was like a tidal wave, because now all these people are writing or coming, hey, my headaches have gone away. I'm sleeping better. I feel like my old self again. I don't get the jitters from caffeine. All these kind of things start coming in over and over and over. And I don't have PMS cramps and stuff. And we're like, wow, this magnesium deficiency is way deep. Like, we knew that there was deficiency, but here's what a lot of people don't understand. There's no standard for what's optimal. Nobody knows. So what we're figuring out now, that if you start dosing up and taking like what would be considered super physiological dosage, just like what these guys did back in the 70s with founding orthomolecular nutrition, there's a cascade of nervous system benefits that are exceptional. And particularly in today's time, there's another deep, dark fact of the modern times that we don't know. And that is, the more time that you're spending on a computer, the more time you're spending in high electrical magnetic frequencies, EMF environments, and the more stressed out you become, the more magnesium your body starts to dump out of your system. This leads to osteoporosis. This leads to brain fog. This leads to I don't have that pop anymore. It leads to low sex drive. It leads to, there's just an incredible array of things that go wrong when you don't have enough magnesium, because it's involved in over 600 different roles inside your body. And so now people start dosing up like we are doing. They're starting at like a 0.5 gram 3 times a day, and then they're going up from there. And we've got some people taking 5 grams a day, and there's like, I feel like I'm so calm now. Like what used to just blow me out and stress me out, I'm just chill. And it's really remarkable. And I'm just excited to talk about some of the nuances of it.
We have a couple questions first. So Stephen Rushing says, it's been recommended to him to take a SpectraCell test. What are your thoughts on SpectraCell tests?
I think it's fantastic.
What did it show you? What did SpectraCell show you?
Okay, so here's what they do. They take your blood out of your system and they send it off to a lab down in Texas. It has to be iced and get there in a certain period of time, like 24 hours. And what they do, when most tests that you get done from your naturopathic doctor or your GP or whatever, it's going to show what's in your blood. But what you really need to know is what your cells are absorbing. So they spin these, and then they can tell, hey, maybe you have a weird recessive gene or something that makes it very hard for you to upregulate vitamin C. And they can tell by how much you're taking and how much you're actually getting. So what's actually deficient in the tissue, because it needs to be in the tissues in order to get the result.
I always thought the only way to do that was a punch biopsy. So you're saying they can just draw your blood and do that?
Yep, this is the new tech. And what they do is they spin the nutrients in these
centrifuges.
Yeah. And then as it goes into the centrifuge, they can see how much the cell is actually going to absorb versus what's in the actual serum. So it's pretty cool. And my ND, Paul Maximus, he's a great guy. He's a young guy and he's a super smart guy. And he has that, we did an episode, he had the 5 gold standards of what every guy should be taking for testing. And he said, and that's one of them.
So we're going to start talking about the actual forms of magnesium that are in this product. And I think it'll answer some of the questions on the side here. So the very first one is magnesium chelate or chelate, depending on what part of the world you're from. Talk about that.
Yeah. So this one is really popular, particularly in the sleep community. And what it does is it helps quiet the nervous system, and it's really related to melatonin production. So a lot of people take melatonin to kind of sleep, but if you take it for a long time, that can have a lot of complications inside the body. What you really want to do is boost your precursors of magnesium with magnesium chelate. So it really is active in the conversion of your neurotransmitters, your production of the neurotransmitters inside the body. And so that's what a lot of people like to use it for sleep in particular, and the hormone regulation and hormone manufacturing.
Sorry about that. I had to blow my nose, so I had to put your pretty face up there for a second.
If I got a pretty face, we're in trouble, Carl.
Oh, dude, you're handsome compared to me. I look like a friggin' old shoe. Are you kidding me? All right. So magnesium citrate or citrate. What about
this? This is the one that is used most for acid indigestion or for laxatives. So it seems to work really well inside. And of course, for those who've listened to all of our digestive health, conversations, and it's a single canal from your mouth to your butt. And the bottom line is acid reflux. Oftentimes magnesium citrate can really help with that, but particularly citrate draws water into the body. And I do believe and I don't have definitive information on this. This is my theory. I want to be clear about that. But with acid reflux, what happens is it's because of for most part, lack of hydrochloric acid, not too much. And one of the precursors for producing hydrochloric acid is water, and the other thing is magnesium. So these things are involved in the production that alleviates. And so I think when the citrate will actually bring more water in, which is a precursor to actually making the hydrochloric acid. And a lot of people are chronically dehydrated. First and foremost, you should just drink more water. That's that if you got acid reflux,
you got to add minerals to the water. That's the thing we're missing from an evolutionary perspective.
Yes.
And that's why magnesium is so important.
Water is the best magic pill there ever was created. Just drinking more clean, mineral-rich water. The second thing is when it's in the intestinal tract, it draws more water in. So again, when people are dehydrated and they're constipated and they're eating a lot of drying type of foods, guess what? This is the product that can help get things moving, and also with the muscle tone to get that relaxation. Because a lot of people that are highly caffeinated, the intestinal tract will start to constrict and dry out, and that's when you put in the citrate. And a lot of older people really respond very well to that. The one negative on citrate, too much and you get the runs. This is the one where you get the magnesium runs the easiest. So I would get that when I was doing them individually. That's the one that would, with all our testing team, would get the runs with the lowest dosage.
And I really think that the way I want to contribute something to the whole GERD acid reflux discussion. Acid reflux is a result of the hatch opening up. And we know that things that are stimulating, like caffeine, like other methylxanthines that you find in chocolate, people who have acid reflux, it gets worse when they use caffeine or when they use other methylxanthines. Magnesium is known to be a neurotransmitter suppressor. It relaxes. So I think that's another valuable thing that magnesium does for people who have acid reflux. It reverses that sympathetic parasympathetic imbalance that causes the esophageal sphincter to start to open up first and foremost, and it allows it to close again. So there's a lot of good value for people who have acid reflux to benefit from magnesium. The other forms are magnesium bisglycinate. How is this different, first of all, than magnesium glycinate, first of all?
It's just a better bonding. It seems to be uptaken by the body a lot more. So people who like glycinate or look at the literature, they found that the bisglycinate or bisglycinate, however people want to pronounce it, is superior to the glycinate. So any of the literature you see on glycinate, you can just correlate it with the bisglycinate. So it's just how it's bonded. This is the one that's really great. I love this particular magnesium, and I'll tell you why. Because it deals with some of the major issues that people have. Number one, it can help decrease blood pressure. You know, high blood pressure, of course, there's so many people with heart disease and these type of things. And it does so by, it's a vasodilator. So what that means is it actually opens up the artery. So migraine headaches, almost all migraine headaches are caused by a constriction used to an inflammatory response inside the body. So people who suffer from migraine headaches, people that suffer from high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes. You talked about some people regulating their blood sugar issues. And we're actually working, we're really deep in the blood sugar conversation right now. We're testing an incredible array of blood sugar regulators because it's such a huge issue. People think of diabetes and they say, oh, well, you just take insulin. Well, the consequences of being on insulin for a long time are significantly bad. And magnesium helps regulate by breaking down blood sugars and it decreases insulin resistance, which is cool. And then also this one has also been shown in studies to be good for osteoporosis. So in North America, we are in an interesting situation. You see, since the 1940s, when the baby boom happened after the nuclear weapons were used, we had all this nitrogen left over from the old bombs. And there was an explosion of the population. And governments like, how are we going to feed all these people? And they started to implement farming boards and government things. And they started doing monoculture farming. And there was no crop rotation. And they started to really exhaust the minerals of the soil, because they used to, rotate your crop 7 years, have a year of fallow that nothing was growing in, and they would grow hemp on it, and they would reconstitute the soil, and then they would, grow each crop.
Right.
Well, they stopped doing that. And so now the mineral depletion of magnesium in our soil is so deficient. You can't eat, it doesn't matter how healthy you eat, you can't get enough magnesium, just even for the RDA to prevent, things like osteoporosis happening. And then on top of that, we don't know what the optimal levels is. And our diets tend to be high in calcium. Everything's fortified with calcium, and they exist in a 2-to-1 ratio, with magnesium being the control. So if you don't have enough magnesium, your body will start to dump calcium to regulate, and this is what leads to osteoporosis. Well, all the studies on bisglycinate says it's the superior form for dealing with those things, as well as also there's some new research on its ability to improve serotonin from neurotransmitter functioning, so that feel good. So I think a lot of people, when they find if they're a little bit depressed in serotonin, they don't have that kind of feel good feeling all the time. It's kind of a subtle thing. You got kind of a bland feeling. This is one that a lot of our friends in the psychology world are really excited about what's been happening. People just start to get this sense of calm and clear and positive outlook when your serotonin levels are right. So antidepressants, by the way, one of the reasons they rotate is because antidepressants can really blow out your magnesium levels. And so they got to rotate from the different types. And this leads to a further depression of magnesium. And I got some really good friends, some very people who I love. I've known them for years that have struggled with depression. And I put them on Magnesium Breakthrough with their Cognibiotics formula. And they're like, I feel like a new person. I don't know what's going on.
Isn't that amazing?
It's, there's so many people struggling with mental health issues. And I really believe that a lot of it is because they can't, it's not that they need these, they're not deficient in antidepressants. They're deficient in food nutrients that makes the neurochemicals. And nobody's talking about that in the psychology world. And I think it's an area that we've got to really go after, because mental health issues are crippling the nation. They're crippling the nation.
I want to answer a question before we go into our break. Chrisese Fox posted this question, but there's a couple other people who posted similar questions. How effective is transdermal magnesium? I want to speak to this, and then I'll let you
sure
go. So I made a career on creating transdermals. Back in the day, I was the go-to guy. If you were an anabolic steroid user and you didn't want to inject, I would show you how to home brew your own transdermals and make them, very effective. So when you apply a modicum of critical thinking, you have to think about this. Okay, if transdermal magnesium is good, then an Epsom salt bath is great. Now, we hear a lot of feedback from people in Epsom salt baths that their aches and pains go away, but we don't know how much of that is just from the heat from the hot water. So I've often thought about transdermally delivered minerals. Your skin has what is a tantamount to roof shingles. It's called a stratum corneum. These are designed to let things out of the skin, but protect the skin from absorbing things. Think about this. If transdermal magnesium really worked, then every time you went swimming in the ocean, you would have an overload of sodium. You'd come home, you'd be bloated. Your doctor would say, my God, what are you doing? Cut back on your salt. You'd literally get out of the ocean a couple pounds heavier than you got in, because if sodium can get in from the ocean, then that means magnesium can get in from transdermal. And I know people go, well, yeah, but transdermals are designed. Yeah, transdermals are designed to disrupt the stratum corneum, separate them so things can get in. But so is water if you sit in it long enough. We all know we get that puckery skin when you sit in the water. Sitting in the water long enough will also disrupt the stratum corneum. I am not a proponent of transdermal minerals at all. Now, can you absorb some of them? Maybe. Is it going to be better than orally? Probably not, because the body is designed to resist that absorption. Now, I'll let you speak to it. Am I off base? What do you think?
You're bang on the money here. So you've said everything that needs to be said about that. We were given a mouth for a reason. We were given a butt for a reason. And that's the intake and outtake valves. There are benefits to some aspects of transdermal, but like you said, these are scientifically developed. Do I think there's a relaxation response? I know I've taken magnesium baths versus a regular bath. I do like a magnesium bath personally. I do like it. I put the Epsom salts in there. I feel good. I don't know if what's being absorbed, but I can tell you one thing. It's not going to show up on a SpectraCell test that my magnesium levels suddenly went up afterwards. So the science says that that's not going to improve my cellular magnesium levels. And this is the thing that's the foundational concepts in our company. You are not what you eat. You are not what you bathe in. You are what you digest, absorb, and utilize. Now, while I will say one other thing, though, some molecules like fluoride in your water or chlorine in the water do have a super high absorption rate. So there are elements that can get into the cells. And I'll give you people a little test that's really interesting. You can take, like, if you take shower water and you have chlorine in it, okay, you can get these little chlorine drops and it'll turn the drops yellow. So take two things of your shower.
Test for chlorine.
Yeah, take two of these. Take one, put the drops in it. Take the other and stir your finger around in it for 10, 15 seconds and then put the drops in. Guess what? No chlorine in the water. And chlorine and fluoride, they get hooked to thyroid, one of the master glands for your metabolism, and controls all these things. You can get into a lot of trouble. So a lot of ladies who like to bath in their Epsom salts and chlorinated water are screwing themselves up metabolically over time and running into thyroid issues, I believe, because thyroid, iodine, and iodine, fluoride, and chlorine are the halogen elements, which they're very, very small and they're uptaken by the body. Magnesium is a larger molecule and is not as easily uptaken by that. So I just wanted to kind of flesh it out. It kind of came up, but I wanted to just clarify that.
So there's a follow-up question I want to answer, then we'll take our break.
Sure.
Yes, molecular size matters. Anything under 400 Dalton is capable of being compounded into a transdermal vehicle. So while many of the things that we're talking about are definitely available to be transdermally delivered, including magnesium, I think it's a 34 Dalton. I think it's ultra small, but then it becomes the dose. So if you put the average hydroalcoholic transdermal vehicle only delivers 10%. Lecithin-based organogels, 34%. Now, if you need 3 grams of magnesium a day, rubbing some on your arm or your leg isn't going to get it done, because you got to remember there's only a certain amount that can be delivered through the skin. Even with they use electrophoresis to improve the delivery of drugs in transdermal. It only delivers 60%. So you'd have to rub 3, 6, 9, 12 grams of it on your skin in order to get some negligible amount. If you just take it orally, it's there. It's going to be distributed throughout the whole body. So you're right. Drugs and small molecular items can be delivered through the skin, but then it becomes a matter of, well, what is an effective dose and how much you have to rub on your skin in order to get an effective dose. It's just easier to take it orally. It really is. And then on that note, there's all 7 forms of magnesium that we're talking about today in Magnesium Breakthrough. And you can save up to 40% off right now. It is simply the best. Why? Because everybody on the sideline is talking about the magnesium that they like. Well, I like this one. It's all in there. So you don't have to choose. If you go to shRnetwork.biz/magbreakthrough, MAGBREAKTHROUGH, and use the code SHR10, you can save up to 40% off the single best magnesium supplement in the world. And let's face it, we all agree on one thing. Everybody's talking about the different forms of magnesium, but we all agree that people need more magnesium. This is the magnesium to use. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll answer all your questions. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio. If there is one mineral you should be worried about not getting enough of, it's magnesium. Magnesium is the body's master mineral, powering over 300 critical reactions, including detoxification, fat metabolism, energy, and even digestion is influenced by the presence of magnesium. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about a new magnesium product I've been taking now called Magnesium Breakthrough. It's the ultimate magnesium supplement, easily the best I've ever seen or experienced. With all 7 forms of magnesium, I was able to arrange an amazing deal for my audience, and I guarantee me, it's the best deal available on this product. Seriously, with volume discounts combined with our custom 10% coupon code SHR10, you can save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. And I promise that this deal is only available on this specific website, magbreakthrough.com/SHR. You won't find that deal on Amazon or even on the company's own website. Go to magbreakthrough.com/SHR and use code SHR10 to save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. You've heard me talk about the chill pill on the show and how effective it is at helping people who suffer from social anxiety, or sometimes when you just want to take the edge off to a long, stressful day. Well, listen to this story from Dylan Goutreau.
Definitely takes anxiety away, which I have a long history of having. Started out at 2 milligrams a day of Xanax. That was at 8 years old. And so I stopped using benzos 3 years ago. Extremely difficult. Yeah, so I spent about 3 years trying to find anything and everything I could that would be healthy for me to help with anxiety. Because I'm talking, full out panic attack. The chill pill was the first thing that I found that actually in the middle of a panic attack I can take, and it definitely subsides.
Go to drseeds.com. That's DRSEEDS.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your first bottle of the chill pill. Check it out. I promise this is one supplement that delivers. Are you still on the fence about Body Protection Complex BPC Oral from drseeds.com? Listen to Maggie Kuhn, one of the owners of the C-Bus Lifting Company gym in Columbus, Ohio.
I had been having some nagging tendon issues that weren't injuries, just things that were annoying. I'm 58 years old, so just older tendon kind of issues. For us powerlifters, we really don't stop training when we have just nagging issues. We just kind of keep pushing through. And I started the BPC. What I noticed was I was doing some heavy tricep stuff that would have killed me before when I had an elbow problem, and I was able to do this with literally no pain at all.
Go to drseeds.com, drseeds.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your bottle of BPC Body Protection Complex today. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today. Chronic stress leaves us tired, distracted, and physically vulnerable. Apollo Neuro is here to help you take control. Apollo Neuro is a new wearable that trains your nervous system to be more resilient to stress. Apollo's gentle vibrations use your sense of touch to help you recover from stress, going from fight or flight to rest and digest, so you can relax, get to sleep, focus, and stay healthy. Developed by physicians and neuroscientists, Apollo Neuro has been tested in multiple clinical trials and is proven to improve heart rate variability, the key biometric of stress. Special offer for friends of Superhuman Radio. Try Apollo Neuro today and get 15% off your purchase at apolloneuro.com/superhuman. That's APOLLONEURO.com/superhuman. I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender, with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 25% off all beef and free shipping on orders of $100 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to PIEDMONTESE.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again.
This is the Superhuman Channel, doing reps with the weight of the world.
A lot of people are commenting about getting fluoride out of the water. It's very simple to do. There's lots of good filters out there that will do that, but you should do that. We have a whole house filter, and we also have a shower head filter. Fluoride is a nasty, nasty thing, and we're learning more and more about it. In fact, most developed nations today have removed fluoride from their water, except here in the United States. I'm not going to get into the politics of that, but there's something going on, that's for sure. We're talking today about magnesium with Wade Lightheart of Bioptimizers. They're a sponsor of this show. I've said numerous times that if you like the content we produce, if you're helped by the content we produce, then you have to show the sponsors some love and patronize them because they make this information available. Soon, 15 years in November, this podcast has been on a journey to help people take control of their health, their aging, their performance. But none of it happens without companies like Bioptimizers. So show them some love. They have the best magnesium product in the world. Take all the guesswork out of it. Get all the forms you need. And we're discussing the different forms. We're going to talk about magnesium aspartate now. What is magnesium aspartate? What does it do, Wade?
Well, with magnesium aspartate, this is a form of magnesium. So it's similar to glycinate or malate or citrate. However, what this one is particularly, the research is on cardiovascular support. So that's arterial function, endothelial function, C-reactive protein metabolism, and lipid metabolism. So sometimes people who have trouble metabolizing fats and things like that, they find that this can assist in that. And I do believe there's probably some correlation with the enzymes in lipase. I don't know. That's, again, I want to be clear when I do some of these things, I'll take research and I'll say, well, this may be why it's happening. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're extrapolating.
Right. And I want to be clear about that. But it's also...
But wait a minute, but I want to say something. It's clear from all the research that magnesium is involved in some plethora of enzymatic cascades and conversions. I mean, something ridiculous like 400 or 600 or more different enzymatic cascades in the P450 cytochrome cascade of the liver all depend on magnesium to function. So it's not it's not a far extrapolation. It's probably pretty reasonable what you're saying.
Yeah, and then the other thing, it's acid alkaline balance in the body. This has been some research been doing on that. There's getting a lot of traction on that right now about acid and alkaline balance inside the body. And some people are hyperacidic and some people are slightly more alkaline. But people on the hyperacidic side, they're finding when they use things like magnesium aspartate, they're showing some benefits in their ability to regulate their pH levels. And we're talking, when you're talking about pH levels, we're talking about little micro changes, but that micro changes is a lot. Like, we live in a very narrow range of health. It's kind of like the earth. If we're just a little bit too far, a little bit too out, we'd all be dead. Right. We're in the Goldilocks zone. And the same thing is with pH. And we don't have enough magnesium and you're a hyperacidic type of person, oftentimes by adding magnesium, you're able to regulate your pH levels. And aspartate, the research has shown, has been very successful. And I'm not saying that other magnesiums wouldn't, but when you do these studies, what happens is the researchers, for whatever reason, will pick maybe an individual magnesium that they're using for that research that could get that benefit. But these are confirmed things. Particularly with older individuals, there's a lot of research around this form of magnesium.
So the next one is really interesting to me, and it doesn't take a lot of searching to find out why it is the best form of magnesium for the heart. Magnesium is critical to the heart, and this one is bound to an amino acid that we all know called taurine. And we know that taurine improves cardiac output. It allows your heart to work harder and harder and harder without getting into that danger zone. Talk about this.
This is a great product. I love magnesium taurate. And so when you're talking about cognitive function, especially related to memory, taurine is something that acts similar to GABA. Okay. And for all those bodybuilders, remember people were using GABA aminobutyric acid as an enhancer for training and strength training, but also it seems to be able to reboost neurochemicals. So to reduce stress and anxiety. This was one of the things that for hard training people that train a lot and work out a lot, this is a great product. Also, people who are suffering from migraines. Now, what's interesting is way back in the day when I was in university, I actually ended up with exercise-induced migraines. I had to take, I thought I was going to like have a brain seizure or something. And I went in and they did all the testing on my brain and everything. And what was happening, I was training so hard, I was putting my nervous system into stress and it was constricting the blood flow. Now, the same thing is relative to cardiovascular health because the taurine helps with allowing the blood to flow through the heart. And so particularly, a lot of people don't realize my dad just had heart surgery recently. He was out in the backyard power sawing down trees one day, and he comes in that night and he's getting pain in his chest. What he didn't know is he had blockages in his heart for years. And when the stress got, and he got to a certain age, that little bit of constriction could be the difference for you having a minor heart attack or a major heart attack. Magnesium taurate is a vasodilator. It's great for neurochemicals, neurotransmitters, particularly in the GABA side of it. It also improves insulin sensitivity. And here's one for the ladies, PMS. Women who study from extreme premenstrual syndromes and a lot of cramps, and this is quite common amongst young girls. I mean, I know tons of girls who are literally, they can't even go to school. They're in so much pain. Well, it turns out a lot of that is because of a magnesium deficiency. And they can, anytime you get cramping in the body or constriction, magnesium is the element that relaxes the muscle tissue. It relaxes anything that dilates. And so even, arteries and stuff contract and relax, very similar to muscles. It's not like you flex your, it's not like you flex your aorta or something, but there is a change in those things. And of course, 24% of your body is the major arteries and veins. And then 76% is all like these little dental floss pieces at your extremes and stuff. And so as we age, a lot of people lose sensitivity and blood flow to the extremities. And it's because those areas get gummed up and constricted. And magnesium helps open those things up. I also use PMF devices in combination to open up the arteries on those extremities and get extraordinary results. And of course, with diabetics, and one of the correlations on that is a lot of them get the constriction and they start getting the pins and needles in their hands and their feet and things like that. Magnesium helps reverse that trend. And I've had a number of people who were extreme diabetics that started to experience relief. I would suggest that they combine the magnesium with some PMF devices to open up in combination. And it's a great combo for people suffering from that.
And it's interesting you talk about this. So early on, we thought diabetic neuropathy was a result of glycation demyelinating the nerve. But now we know it's not. It's the microvasculature chokes off. It's the same thing when you were a kid and you sat on your leg watching a movie. And then you stood up, your leg didn't want to work. And then as blood flow increased to the nerves, you went through a phase of something called hyperalgesia, where your leg actually hurt. Like, oh my God, it hurts. And then as the blood flow regained to the nerves, your nervous system, peripheral nervous system goes back to normal, your sensory peripheral nervous system. Well, we know that people who have neuropathy now, either from nutritional, because there's nutritional neuropathies. If you're missing certain things, your gut is messed up and you're not absorbing all the nutrition from the food, you'll start to you feel like you have gloves on all the time, or you feel like you have socks on all the time. But it's from blood flow. Regardless of whether it's nutritional or whether it's inflammatorily related, those small blood vessels that you're talking up, I think there was estimated that if you laid all the peripheral blood vessels together, it's like you go from here to the moon. That's in your body. And so they start to choke off nerves, and they do something else that magnesium helps with. And maybe this is why. When you get older, you start getting stiff. You just don't, you got to get up and take a couple steps before your legs get into the groove. When you're young, you could jump up, do whatever that stiffness is also ameliorated to a great degree by taking magnesium in general. So, and again, I keep coming back to the fact that there's lots of different magnesiums that do lots of different things. But if you just want to take the guesswork out of it, you just go to shrnetwork.biz/MAGBREAKTHROUGH, Mag Breakthrough. And you can save up to 40%. I guarantee if you start using this magnesium, you won't have to get into discussions with people. Well, I heard that this magnesium is better. Oh, yeah, I got that. Oh, but I heard this magnesium is better. Oh, yeah, that's in my supplement too. You don't have to even think about it anymore. You can just take the brakes off and take magnesium. The last form in Magnesium Breakthrough is magnesium orotate. This is one that I'm not familiar with, to be honest with you.
Yes, great one. So this has resulted in a lot of different things. So a lot of athletes You've probably heard about them, the endurance athletes or the strength athletes or the basketball players all of a sudden dropping dead on the court and taking some sort of heart attack. Well, orotate is involved in a couple of interesting things. People that have premature heartbeats, they start getting that fluttering heartbeat or imbalances in the regulation of their heartbeat. Oftentimes it's related to magnesium orotate. And this was one interesting enough that I learned from the strength sensei, which ironically he ended up dying of a heart attack, but that was from a different reason. That was a genetic defect that wasn't addressed. But he was very clear about how this is really good for the heart. The other thing is it's also involved in DNA and RNA precursors. So when you are looking to repair damaged tissue, and also that also includes the synthesis of glycogen and ATP, magnesium is a big part. And of course, bodybuilders who would take diuretics would drop magnesium levels and start having, you heard of bodybuilders dying backstage, or older bodybuilders particularly. I do believe that they would taking diuretics, and people who take diuretics, like in the hospitals and things like that, you can really run into some big troubles. Magnesium,
especially if they're potassium sparing. That's what happened to Samir Bannout at the backstage of, I think it was one of the Olympias in Europe. And he died right there in the people's arms because his magnesium and calcium, potassium, and all that stuff got whacked out, and his heart just stopped.
Exactly. And so orotate is really good. The other thing is it's, and this is one of the reasons I got this, I started giving this to my dad, because when you have heart disease, it's been shown to improve the survival of heart tissue if you've had heart disease and stuff. So this is a great for anybody that's had a heart attack or had heart complications in their families. Magnesium can make a really big difference, and orotate seems to be one of the leading ones in this one particularly. And just to add one other thing, when we do these magnesiums, we also add humic and fulvic acid monatomic blend in order to improve it. We add B6 and we add manganese. We don't put any of the weirdness in it. There's no chemicals, no agents, no flow excipients that are not natural. None of that stuff goes into it. And for people who actually take advantage of the offer, if this isn't the best magnesium product, put it head to head against anything that you want, put it up against whatever something. If you don't feel, and I mean, you don't get a somatic effect from taking this magnesium, call us, email us, text us, send a carrier pigeon. We just give you all your money back. That's our policy in the company. We put the mission ahead of the margin. We do not chop corners, and we take away all the risk so that people don't have anything to lose. And that's why I'm so grateful for being on the show with you, Carl. I mean, you're a legend in the field. You got the longest running. Everybody wants to be on your show. You're very curated in who gets on there. And the fact that we get to get on here and share with your audience, and we would never disrespect what you do. That's why we say, hey, if you're not blown away by this, no problem. Get your money back and go back to whatever magnesium you want it. But I think you're going to be very, very impressed when you try it.
It's a superior product. If magnesium is important to you and you believe that you need more magnesium, this is the way to take it. It takes all the guesswork out. We're going to take our last commercial break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? The rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor? Strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
When craving a snack, reach for Select Savory Snacks Sugar-Free Biltong, the healthy alternative to sugar-laden beef jerky. They use a fattier cut of beef, making it more tender and flavorful. For mealtime, choose from their 63 seasonings, which are sugar and additive-free. From chipotle rub to savory pumpkin spice, you'll find an option to suit your palate. Go to shrnetwork.biz/SSS today. Use code SHR15 to save 15% on any meat snack or seasoning. Savor the flavor today. Want to improve improve mental energy and focus? Try the new Superhuman Stack from Pure Nootropics. Stack Dynamine, Zalbutamin, Theocrine, and palmitoyl ethanolamide together and feel the lights go on in your brain. Find your perfect mix of these four. Carl likes 1 cap of each and 2 caps of Dynamine. Bam! Lights on. Go to shrnetwork.biz/superhuman stack, all one word, today, and get yours for 25% off plus free shipping. That's shrnetwork.biz/superhuman stack. Mind Bullet is a kratom product derived from the coffee family to boost energy and creative juices. Mind Bullet comes in both pill and liquid form for the ultimate pre-workout supplement. When needing a little pick-me-up or to get through the morning fog, Mind Bullet will set your productive course fast. Go to shrnetwork.biz/mindbullet, all one word, today, and save 20%. No subscription required. That's shrnetwork.biz/mindbullet. Get yours today.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
You've heard me talk about the chill pill on the show and how effective it is at helping people who suffer from social anxiety, or sometimes when you just want to take the edge off to a long, stressful day. Well, listen to this story from Dylan Goutreau.
Definitely takes anxiety away, which I have a long history of having. Started out at 2 milligrams a day of Xanax. That was at 8 years old. And so I stopped using benzos 3 years ago. Extremely difficult. Yeah, so I spent about 3 years trying to find anything and everything I could that would be healthy for me to help with anxiety. Because I'm talking, full out panic attack. The chill pill was the first thing that I've found that actually in the middle of a panic attack I can take, and it definitely subsides.
Go to drseeds.com. That's DRSEEDS.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your first bottle of the chill pill. Check it out. I promise this is one supplement that delivers.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. Don't hate us because we feel good.
That's right, baby. We feel good. I gotta update those. A good friend of mine who I haven't spoken to or communicated with since back in the Off Topic days when I used to do Off Topic on Dave Palumbo's RX Muscle website. Dave Pulcinella is watching. Great to see you. Hope you're doing well, Dave. So Chrissy Fox also said she's definitely going to give this magnesium a try. Everybody should give this magnesium a try. Those of you who aren't taking magnesium should be taking magnesium. There's a high probability that you are deficient in magnesium. And just taking magnesium like this, because it has all the different forms in it, for just a month or two, you may notice things just go away. You may notice that you sleep better. Magnesium plays a large role in digestion. Some people who have gut issues, they feel like their food doesn't digest. Magnesium plays a role in that. Magnesium plays a role in feeding good microbes in the gut. Magnesium plays all sorts of roles. It's possibly one of the most versatile, most important minerals in our diet. And the problem is there's not a lot in our diet anymore. This is one of the things you really do have to supplement with if you want to get adequate amounts. You think that's an overstatement, Wade?
This is coming right out in, medical industry is not great on identifying nutritional deficiencies. And the medical periodicals that are coming out says that 80% of the population in North America is deficient in magnesium. That's just for the RDA. That is the recommended daily ounce to prevent serious disease. It's not even talking about optimal. And that's what, we addressed it for 600 different functions that it's involved in. So we addressed it as something for myself, and we use it as an enhancement product. I was deficient, but I went to kind of the super physiological dosages. But when you get 80% of the population deficient in this, and you see the widespread complications that come from magnesium deficiency, it makes all the sense in the world to give it a shot. We removed all the risk, all the risk. It's super easy. And I would suggest people start at a 0.5 gram, that's 2 capsules, in the morning with meals, in the afternoons, and in the evenings. And watch what happens. And then if you like it, if you start to see a nose, start to dose up with one additional capsule in 2 of those sessions. So you go up to the next level, and then eventually you add another cap. You know, each day add another cap until you hit your tolerance dose. And you'll know when you get tolerance because you'll get the runs. You taper back, you stay at that dose for 30, 60 days. You'll hit the runs again if you're starting to top up your levels. And then you can go back. And I explain this all in my Awesome Health course. When you go to this, you can click on it, you'll get this too. And go to the bucket theory of nutrition. And we talk about filling your lifestyle as a whole in the bucket. Your total levels, a full bucket, is filling it up. Once you fill your bucket up, you only need to put in what you're exhausting, and you can titrate that based on, you know, the stress in your life. So what we'd like to do is for people to take, you know, it takes, for most people, it's about 6 months. That's how much we've noticed at a dosage between 2 and 3 grams a day.
Especially if you're severely depleted already.
Correct. And then that's when they usually feel they can go down. I'm down to 1.5 to 2 grams a day. When I travel, I go up to 3 grams. But that's what works for me. I'm a hard training guy. Some people might find that 1 gram is good for them or whatever. Bottom line is you'll kind of figure out your own dosage over time, but stay in the higher dosage for a period of time. You will not be disappointed.
I'm wondering, so now you're an average shooter now. I know you've always been an average shooter. You've hunted when you were a kid and all that sort of stuff, and so am I. And I'm starting to realize as I get older, I have a harder time steadying the rifle or the handgun for that matter. And I'm just I'm stronger than I was when I was young, but my ability to kind of steady things. I'm wondering if you think magnesium plays a role in relaxing the nervous system so that you can steady yourself better.
I do believe that's true, and I'll give you a little side back. We were talking before the show, and I went out to some weapons training, just to exert my Second Amendment right. Not that I would ever want to use them, but you know what? The consequences of not being prepared with all the craziness that's going on, if someone busted into my house and wanted to kill me, is too risky to work. So I went out to get some specialized training out in the Nevada desert, and what was interesting, I fasted the entire 3 days in the middle of the desert. I wanted to increase the stress that I wanted to have in my body, but I have great magnesium levels. And out of my group of about 20 people, I had the most accurate shooting of the entire group. And I had no problem steadying the gun in the point. I was actually kind of wondering, because I hadn't really shot a lot for a long time. I live in the city. I'm not in the country anymore. It's a lot different. And I was just rock solid. So I didn't have that. And I do feel, in my family, my grandfather used to get a little bit of shakes and tremors. And I think that deficiency over time, it's just like you get the jitters. Well, why are you getting the jitters if you take too much caffeine? It's the same thing. You're not able to calm down the regulation of the nervous system. Why are you getting anxiety and depression? You're overstimulated.
Yes.
I believe that magnesium is one of those control items that really helps the central nervous system calm down. And I've gotten thousands and thousands of people are sending us testimonials. I don't know what's going on with this, but I feel calmer.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's why I posed the question, because too much, our society today is too hard on the gas and not hard enough on the brake. And when you think about it, everybody's got a stimulant product of some sort. Well, here's the antithesis of the stimulant product, right? This is going to help balance that. It helps to create more of a balance in the nervous system, as opposed to always being on the gas pedal. And I have to believe that affects in a variety of performances. And as you and I know, shooting is one of those things. You when you really want to hit the bullseye, there's a lot of things we do. Like I take a couple deep breaths. And I don't fire until I've exhaled, and I hold that exhale, and then I listen to my heartbeat, and I literally try to pull the trigger in between beats. All those things actually translate to a steadier hand. And I'm thinking, man, I wonder if magnesium would help you be more steady. And there's competitive shooters out there who could probably benefit from a product like Magnesium Breakthrough.
I'd love to. That's a great study. I'd like to get a study in magnesium supplementation and accuracy in precision sports like archery and shooting guns and things like that, where you need a steady hand. as well as also it may be of impact to people who are surgeons and stuff, because a lot of surgeons, they start as they get to a certain age, they get the shakes, that's it, they're done, or they get arthritis. One of those two things, they're out. And I had a friend who was he put the first stent in the body, and that's what he said takes out all the surgeons. They get the shakes or they get arthritis, and that's it. Their career's over.
That's so sad. But yeah, who knows? It could just be magnesium that they need, and they could function longer. Again, shrnetwork.biz/mag breakthrough. You'll save up to 40% off using the code SHR10. You need to check it out. If you do take magnesium, this is the form you should take, because it's all 7 important forms. If you don't take magnesium, you should be taking magnesium, and this is what you should be taking. Do you want to stick around? Do you have time to stick around? It's going to be 15 minutes tops. If you don't know,
I got to jump. I think I'm late for another. Podcast. I really want. I'm going to catch the.
Yeah, you're going to love.
I want to know. I want to know what I'm sitting here on the edge. I want to hear this.
All right. So look, it's great having you here today. I always love spending time with you. I hope that sometime in the future we can actually sit down and break bread. Thank you for being a sponsor of this show. Show by Optimizers the love they deserve. I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Always a pleasure, Carl. Take care and have a great day.
Talk to you later. All right. Stay tuned. When I come back, I'm going to give you a tip on what could be the greatest indicator of whether or not you are overtrained or not. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. If there is one mineral you should be worried about not getting enough of, it's magnesium. Magnesium is the body's master mineral, powering over 300 critical reactions, including detoxification, fat metabolism, energy, and even digestion is influenced by the presence of magnesium. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about a new magnesium product I've been taking now called Magnesium Breakthrough. It's the ultimate magnesium supplement, easily the best I've ever seen or experienced. With all 7 forms of magnesium, I was able to arrange an amazing deal for my audience, and I guarantee it's the best deal available on this product. Seriously, with volume discounts combined with our custom 10% coupon code SHR10, you can save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. And I promise that this deal is only available on this specific website, magbreakthrough.com/SHR. You won't find that deal on Amazon or even on the company's own website. Go to magbreakthrough.com/SHR and use code SHR10 to save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
Proper hydration can lead to improved endurance, performance, and recovery. When we sweat, we lose valuable electrolytes that must be replaced. That's why Element created a zero-sugar, science-backed ratio of electrolytes that you can add to your water. It comes in 3 flavors. Sample them all risk-free with the Element Variety Pack. Carl's favorite is raspberry. Free shipping on all U.S. orders. Go to shrnetwork.biz/LMNT and get yours today.
Guys, you've heard about this revolutionary acoustic wave technology that improves your sexual performance. It's been used in Europe for 20 years and has a 90% success rate of reversing symptoms of ED. Even if you're not suffering from ED, it can take you back to peak sexual performance of your younger days. The Phoenix uses powerful sound waves to clear plaque blockage and substantially increase blood flow. It's easy to use, has no side effects, and can be done in the privacy of your own home. Doctors have been charging thousands of dollars for these treatments. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Phoenix and use the code SHR for a special superhuman deal. Regain your sexual prowess today. Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier, and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it, you'll love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. We're ripped and we're ready.
Welcome back. I'm going to make this short and sweet because the weekend starts as soon as this show is over, and it can't be soon enough for me. It's been a hell of a week, I have to be honest with you. So I've developed a new way of training, and I'm actually going to hire a guy to go to the gym with me and take pictures, and I'm going to write a little book about it. And I've got about 11 people whose opinions I really trust. They're personal trainers and they're hard trainers. And what I've discovered with this style of training is it's very demanding on the central nervous system. You can get in and out of the gym in under 40 minutes. And while there is volume to it, the stress on the muscles is much greater. And in fact, I think it's actually a safer way for older guys like me to train who had lots of injuries. It happened by accident. I've discovered this by accident. And I'll get into that deeper when I start to reveal more about what I've learned about this style of training. But one thing is for sure. So I started out training. I've always loved to train 3 days on and 1 day off. And I'd rather train all 4 days on, but I feel like I need to have a break. And I've always been able to train 3 days on and 1 day off, no problem whatsoever. But since I've switched to this more demanding style of training, I noticed that right away, 3 days on and 1 day off wasn't going to work. I just didn't have the energy. I wasn't recovered enough. And I'm using some very advanced recovery peptides. If you haven't seen my Facebook post on my recovery stack, I'll give it to you real quick. It's 2 IUs of growth hormone, 500 micrograms of thymosin beta-4, 500 micrograms of BPC 157, 500 micrograms of mechano growth factor, 200 micrograms of CJC, which is just growth hormone releasing hormone. It doesn't have the DAC. It's not long acting. 200 micrograms of GHRP6 and 75 IUs of oxytocin, which is a very, very high dose of oxytocin. People should never start out that high. You start out maybe 25 IUs because it literally gives you such a bad head rush. You feel like your head's going to explode, your heart pounds, but then it goes away. And literally, I feel like I could train again later that evening. In fact, I trained back yesterday morning, and I went back to the gym just to try it and see if it works. And I trained back a second time. Did all the same movements, all the same volume, and I felt great. And I'll talk more about this peptide stack later. We're going to be doing a show with Betsy Yerth, hopefully next week, to elaborate on why oxytocin is the heavy mover in this one. But even with that peptide stack, even being hormonally optimized on testosterone, I'm on the lowest dose of testosterone I've ever been on, 250 milligrams a week. I still can't train as much as I want to with this new style. So I went from 3 days on, 1 day off to 2 days on, 1 day off to 2 days on, 2 days off. And now I'm experimenting with 1 on, 1 off and 1 on, 2 off. And I can tell you that I am experiencing overtraining. So now I'm going to go through the common ones, the ones that we've always talked about first, but then I'm going to tell you the one that really makes a difference and why. Your waking heart rate. If you wake up in the morning and your heart is pounding, you are overtrained. But not everybody experiences this, and that still doesn't mean that they're not overtrained. Overtraining is a combination of 3 factors: how hard you train, how many calories you take in, and how well you sleep. And then, of course, we have to figure out life stress. 4 things. Let's say 4 things. And so a good study was done just this year that showed unequivocally that overtraining, and there are biological markers in blood of overtraining, are completely tied to not just how hard you train, but if you're not getting enough calories all day in that day and days after. So we know that the more you eat, the less likely you are to be overtrained. But some of us can't eat all the time like we want to. We have to work. We have lives and jobs and everything else. But when you look at these 4 factors, sleep quality, training intensity, diet, and then, of course, life stresses, a lot of us can become overtrained, but your waking heart rate might not show it. Coach Dan John came on my show probably 10, 12 years ago and said the way he evaluates his athletes is he makes them pick a key on the keyboard, the letter T. And when they're completely rested, maybe they've been off for a week, he has them tap it as many times they can for 30 seconds. So let's say in 30 seconds, they tap it 140 times, let's just say for this example. Then they're going through their training, and let's say they're a week into hard training, he makes them do it again. Maybe they only tap it 98 times, and he says, okay, it's time for you to back off because your peripheral and central nervous system are showing fatigue because you can't do it as many times. But there's lots of things that can affect that, right? Not necessarily overtraining. So, but it's a good way to tell. Another sign of overtraining that we all agree on is when you're starting to train too hard, too frequently, your sleep will get jacked up. You just won't sleep well. You wake up in the middle of the night. And this is another way that you can use to determine if you're overtrained. But this may actually be the best indicator of overtraining. And it's because it comes from evolution when you think about it, right? So we know, we've talked about on this show numerous times that from an evolutionary perspective, when you're under great threat, under great stress, in women and men, sexual function is impaired. The loss of libido, in women, the loss of menstruation. They'll lose, like female bodybuilders, when they go into the cutting phase, the last 16 weeks, when they're preparing to get on the stage, they're training harder than they ever have before, and they're starving themselves. They lose their period. Why? Well, from an evolutionary perspective, your body doesn't know that you have a goal to step on stage at 2% body fat. What your body thinks is, wow, we're in trouble. The environment is hostile. We apparently can't find enough food, and we're working harder and harder and harder. This is not a good time to get pregnant. So women will actually stop having periods when they are overtrained. And that's technically what overtraining. They're training harder, they're eating less, they're probably sleeping like crap, and they stop having their period. And that is because the body is designed to protect the species. We're part of a continuum of the species. We have one job: make babies and die. That's it. Everything else is negligible from a species standpoint. So when a woman starts to lose her period, or her period becomes irregular, she's in trouble. Now, men, it's not as overtly obvious, but men do lose their libido. So if you notice, man, I'm waking up in the morning and I'm not having morning erections anymore. What's going on? Or I'm waking up in the morning and the morning erections just aren't as hard as they used to be. Or for both men and women, your desire for sex just goes away. A healthy, young example of our species, we want to have sex all the time. That's the God's honest truth. We all know that. We want to be refined. We want to be civil. But the reality is that the level of libido and the desire to have sex is an indicator that from an evolutionary perspective, you are doing everything right. And if all of a sudden guys are waking up in the morning because, they're not going to lose their period, and some women are training, they're postmenopausal, they're not having periods anymore. When you lose your desire for sex, I've said on this show for a decade that the first thing, when you're sick, when something's wrong with your body, the first thing that's the big indicator that you're in trouble is you lose your libido. Because if your body thinks, wow, we're jacked up, we can't have a baby right now. This is obviously premenopausal for women. But for men, we can father a child pretty much up till the day we die in most cases. So when you start to lose your libido, something is wrong. The first thing you should do is look at your training. If you're a hard training athlete, if your health is important to you, you're not an Olympic athlete, you're not trying to win a gold medal, health should be the most important thing to you. And if you think about it from this standpoint, when you start to lose your libido, you are overtraining. Take a day off, take 4 days off, take a week off, take time off until your libido comes back. I'm telling you, this is magic. I just experienced it. I literally lost my libido for about a week. I just couldn't understand it. It's so atypical of me because I've been a little horn dog since I was a little boy. And I'm like, what's going on? Then I realized this new style of training is very taxing to me. I'm 62 years old. Granted, I'm, using chemicals and drugs and peptides, but I'm still 62 years old. I still have loose parts and broken muscles and stuff like that. I took 4 days off and bam, my libido came back so strong. It was like, okay, now I get it. And I thought it was worth talking about this because we're all so driven in this audience. I know we are. There isn't a person in this audience that isn't more driven than 99% of the population. And I know that. Pay attention to your libido. Pay attention to your desire for sex. Pay attention to your ability to perform. It's not always because you need Viagra, guys. Sometimes you need to see what is stressing your body that's creating this overtrained sensation where your body thinks, wow, this guy is jacked up. He's not eating enough. All he does is work. He's not sleeping well. The last thing he needs is a baby to raise. And that's exactly how the body treats it. The body is protective. It says you can't raise a child, so you can't make a child. We're shutting that stuff off on you. So pay attention to your level of desire for sex and your libido. And for women who are still menstruating, if your periods become less frequent or they start, happening with less consistent timing, think about taking some time off. Christine Fox just posted, they stop ovulating. Nutrients and resources go to life-critical processes, the brain, the heart. The body won't allow pregnancy or waste blood menstruating. It's brilliant. It's exactly what's happening. And we're not paying attention to it. That could be the single best indicator that you are overtrained. That you lose, in women who are still menstruating, the menstrual cycle gets all jacked up, or they lose menstruation entirely. For both species of the species, men and women, you lose your desire for sex, you lose your libido. Men, you start to lose the quality of your erection. When these things start happening, reflect on where you are, how hard you're training. Are you eating enough? Are your goals unrealistic? Is it just not? Look, I'm never going to be. The lowest I ever got was 9% body fat. I'm never going to be there again. I'm not willing to put my body through that. So look at your life, look at your goals, look at the things you're doing, and err on the side of health over Instagram model looks. If you start losing your libido, pay attention to what your body is trying to tell you. It's trying to get your attention. So I think that that's a very, very important discussion, especially for those of us who train hard and ignore all the signs because our goals are much more important. I want to leave you with that for the weekend. We have great shows planned all next week. Thank you for being here live to watch the show. Please show Bioptimizers some love. They're great people. They make great products. They're deserving of your attention and your dollars. Go to shrnetwork.biz/magbreakthrough. Save up to 40% off the single best magnesium product in the world. And we will see you next week. Have a safe and wonderful weekend. I am going to play this weekend. I'm going to have fun. I'm not even thinking about training. So there you go. All right. Take care.